Is Stuart Hall haunted? Rumors of a ghost of Rufus, Little Rufy Dunn, haunt the halls, and I'm on the case to get to the bottom of it.
This is the room where little Rufy is said to have murdered 5 students. My investigation has led me to Dr. Stephen Prey, who is said to be an expert on the subject.
Alright, so what do you know of the origin of the Little Rufy story?
Well, I probably know too much about it. I was the guy who, I believe, made up the story, and it went far beyond anything I could have expected. I was a member of Wesley Foundation, which is the Methodist youth group that has been here for decades, just to the east of the cemetery, about a block or two. And our campus minister at that time wanted us to create a Halloween program for the students, and I was president of the organization and vice president, and some of us got together and we just made up some ghost stories for Halloween. So we had the whole crew together and we were making up ghost stories. We told them ghost stories that night. And there was a moral behind it all, and the moral was, of course, that things like spirits and ghosts aren't real, and if you have actual faith in a higher power, then you shouldn't be worried about things like that. That was going to be the moral. But before we got there, we had to do the ghost stuff, because it was Halloween after all. So got to me, and I was the last one to do the ghost stories. And when I was challenged to make up a ghost story, I wanted to make it scary, and I wanted to pin it to Southwestern, and so Little Rufy popped into my mind. I thought, I'm going to make up a story about this Little Rufy deal, and I'm going to make up this cool story that'll scare him to death. And so I made up the story that is now very well known about him having gone to Stuart Hall over Christmas when most of the young ladies were gone, but some ladies were still there. And Little Rufy decided to take an axe and chop all the girls up. And it went on, and they could hear, and there were sounds of the axes dragging. It was just a silly, good ghost story that scared him to death. But then the killer was, bad term, the kicker was, the end game was that after this ghost story, we all walked en masse to the cemetery that night. And we all walked out to the cemetery, and I had everybody standing in front of Little Rufy's grave, and I kind of repeated the story, and I said, once a year, Little Rufy's ghost comes back and visits. And about that time, one of the members had gone out there beforehand and hidden behind the tombstone. And so just as I got to the climax, he jumped out and scared everybody, and we had a good time, and everybody laughed. So that was the end of it, I thought.
And do you think by creating this rumor that maybe you've angered some spirits and that's why they haunt the halls of Stuart Hall now?
Well, I don't know if you've angered the spirits, but you've certainly angered me. This interview is really over. Get out of here.
So Dr. Prey says there is nothing to fear. However, if you ask any student who has spent time in Stuart Hall, they would say something definitely is going on.